This mark will remind me, he said. What a way to keep a promise. Who said this, and to whom? And what mark was he talking about? Keep watching, and you will soon find out. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sotonye Afiesimama. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for dropping by once again. If you are a returning visitor, thank you for dropping by. Also, why not subscribe just like my 59 other subscribers so that you receive updates of my video uploads. If you're here for the first time, thanks for dropping by. My name again is Sotonye Afiesimama. In this channel, what I do is to try my best to share the important events that have happened on this day, hence the title, Today in History, with a view to trying to amend future negative occurrences from becoming negative occurrences, if that makes sense. So an example would be, say, whatever led to the Second World War. Yeah, there must have been a connection between the First and the Second World War. This is just an example. The skirmish starts out, it's small, and then it blows up to something else, and then before you know it, countries and millions of people are involved and millions of people are dead. But is there anything that we can do today, say, to avoid World War III, for instance? Because we can look back and say, okay, this is why World War I started. This is why World War II started. Is there anything we can do to prevent World War III? So there's a saying that history tends to repeat itself, which is true. That has been mostly true throughout the course of history. But the best way to predict history is to make that history. That's the best way, So I hope also this also entertains you as well. It educates you as well. We look at events that have happened in the past, and one which comes to mind is this King Edward, I think. I can't remember whether it was the fourth or the third or the fifth. He abdicated because of the love he had for an American woman who was a divorcee. He had to abdicate the throne because he wouldn't have been allowed to rule the United Kingdom and its dependencies at the time, because that was against the law of the church. So I'm actually going to feature him today as well. So just sit tight and enjoy this video. Okay, so let's get cracking now with today's events as recorded in history. The year was 1503, and his name was, he's no longer with us, obviously. His name was Nostradamus, and this is a picture of Nostradamus. He actually, there was a film made about him a few years ago, titled The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, which talked about, it's funny, I started out with war. I didn't even know I was going to talk about Nostradamus and how he predicted the Third World War and how it would start in 1999 and end in 2026. And it's all sorts, how he predicted that someone would drink out of his skull, and while the person was drinking out of his skull, the person would be shot. Quite interesting. But anyway, this is Nostradamus, as you can see. There's a picture here of him and his book. It's called Prophecies, Michael Nostradamus's Prophecies. So I'll read a bit about him. He was born on this day again in 1503. He was a French astrologer and physician, the most widely read seer of the Renaissance. So born on this day, the man who saw tomorrow. Go check out, I'm sure there are videos on YouTube if you're curious about Nostradamus and his prophecies. So go check it out. So posthumous birthday for Nostradamus, born on this day in 1503. So if he was still alive, he would be 517 years old. 517 years old. So let's move on now to the year 1895. Yes, I did mention George, or mentioned Edward. So this is Edward's brother, George VI, King of the United Kingdom. He was born on this day in 1895. Died on the 6th of February 1952, not before becoming King of the United Kingdom and the dominions of the British Commonwealth. He was also Emperor of India from 1936 until 1947. Obviously, that's when India became independent of the United Kingdom. So in 1947, that was when the British Raj was dissolved. He was known as Bertie among his family and close friends. George VI was born in the reign of his great-grandmother, Queen Victoria, and was named after his great-grandfather, Albert, Prince Consort. Okay, so this was the guy who took over from his brother when his brother abdicated, Edward. I did mention Edward 2 videos ago, I think, so go check it out. So Edward abdicated, and George VI, younger brother of Edward, who abdicated to marry the American divorcee, Wallis Simpson. So that's the story. So this is the father of our current Queen of England, or the Queen of the United Kingdom. Okay, his name again is George VI. He was born on this day in 1895. Okay, 1911. On this day, Roald Amundsen arrived at the South Pole. One of the greatest figures in the history of polar exploration was Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen, who left Norway for Antarctica in June 1910, and on this day in 1911 became the first person to reach the South Pole. So this picture here is the first person to reach the South Pole, Roald Amundsen. And this is the ship in which he made that historic voyage on this day in 1911. Roald Amundsen and the South Pole. Year 1911, day December 14th. Okay, let's move on now to the year 1918. So 7 years later, the man popularly known as B.K.S. Iyengar, an Indian teacher, full name Belur Krishna Makha Sundarajara Iyengar, born on this day in 1918. He died on the 20th of August 2014. Better known as B.K.S. Iyengar, was the founder of the style of yoga as exercise known as Iyengar Yoga, and was considered one of the foremost yoga teachers in the world. He was the author of many books on yoga practice and philosophy, including Light on Yoga, Light on Pranayama, Light on the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali, and Light on Life. Iyengar was one of the earliest students of Tirumalai Krishnamacharya, who is often referred to as the father of modern yoga. He has been credited with popularizing yoga first in India and then around the world. The Indian government awarded Iyengar the Padma Shri in 1991, the Padma Bhushan in 2002, and the Padma Vibhushan in 2014. In 2004, Iyengar was named one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. Wow. So this is a man who made yoga popular in India and around the world. So on this day, Mr. Iyengar, B.K.S. Iyengar, was born. The year was 1918. So of course, this is one of his books. The mind is the king of the senses. One of his quotes, should I say. But the breath is the king of the mind. More quotes from B.K.S. Iyengar. With your true dedication to yoga, I am always with you. Last but not least, I always tell people, live happily and die majestically. B.K.S. Iyengar, born on this day in 1918, he died on the 20th of August, 2014. Okay, let's move on to the next event of importance today. 1920 is the year, and his name is Clark Terry. It's Clark Terry pictured here. Grammy Award-winning jazz musician Clark Terry was born. He's 99 years old. He has performed, he's 100 actually. I don't think he's still alive. He has performed and recorded regularly both as a leader and sideman in all his career in jazz, which spans, in all, his career in jazz spans more than 60 years. So that's a beautiful, beautiful painting. Looks a bit caricature-like, caricaturist. So anyway, that's again Clark Terry, Grammy Award-winning jazz musician, born on this day in 1920. 4 years later, Raj Kapoor was born. He is an Indian actor. Yes, he is the one who made the statement. This mark will remind me. It's a fascinating story, so I'm going to tell you about that story once I've read his bio. He was born Shrishti Nath Kapoor on this day in 1924. He died on the 2nd of June 1988. He was an Indian film actor, producer, and director of Indian cinema. He is widely regarded as the greatest showman in the history of Indian cinema and entertainment. He received multiple accolades, including 3 National Film Awards and 11 Filmfare Awards in India. The Filmfare Lifetime Achievement Award is named after Kapoor. He was a 2-time nominee for the Palme d'Or Grand Prize at the Cannes Film Festival for his films Awara in 1951 and Boot Polish in 1954. His performance in Awara was ranked as one of the top 10 greatest performances of all time by Time magazine. His films attracted worldwide audiences, particularly in Asia and Europe. Now, about this statement, this mark will remind me. Apparently, he'd gotten so famous. He met this guy who was a singer, and he had given the leading singing role to someone else, who this other guy who was having a chat with him really respected. So he said he promised this guy he was chatting with a lesser singing role, and because he didn't do the singing in his movies, he ad-libbed. So in order to keep his promise that he was going to give him songs to sing, first of all, he made the promise, and this guy says, "Oh, you're so famous, you'll forget this promise you've just made to me." And you know what he did? The cigarette he was smoking, he snuffed the cigarette out on his hand. So he actually burnt himself, and that was the mark that would remind him that he made a promise to this young man that he was going to help him, and he kept his promise. So that's the reason why this picture is up. I found it quite interesting, quite fascinating that someone would actually cause themselves, we could call it minor discomfort, minor injury, so that serves as a reminder that he had kept, that he was going to keep his promise. So quite interesting. Did you guess who it was? I'm sure if you're Indian, you're into Bollywood movies, you'd have guessed it right. Now, if you want to find out more about who the person he was speaking about was, then go to bollywoodbubble.com and just, type this statement, and the full story is going to pop up. Okay, 1945, on this day, Stanley Crouch was born. That is Stanley Crouch. He is a journalist. He was born in Los Angeles. He is also a music critic, syndicated columnist, and novelist, perhaps best known for his jazz criticism and his novel, Don't the Moon Look Lonesome? So that's Stanley Crouch. Happy birthday, Stanley Crouch. He is 75 years old today. 1947, this beautiful lady, Dilma Rousseff, President of Brazil, was born on this day in 1947. 2012. Sad news in America. Famous or infamous Sandy Hook shooting took place on this day, sadly. Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Newtown, Connecticut left 28 people dead, including 20 children from the Sandy Hook Elementary School and the 20-year-old shooter, Adam Lanza, who is pictured here. So, show you some pictures. Quite heart-wrenching, you know, seeing all this. Pictures of lives lost, 3, 6, 9, 12 faces here, but 28 people lost their lives on this day. That's the face of the killer. Okay, last but not least, Peter O'Toole died on this day in 2013. Who was Peter O'Toole? I did mention him a few videos ago as well. Was an Irish actor who captivated audiences with performances that showcased his versatility in roles ranging from classical drama to contemporary farce during the 7-decade stage and screen career. So Peter O'Toole died in London on this day. On that note, guys, we have come to the end of today's Today in History. Join me tomorrow, December 15th, for another edition of Today in History. Thanks for dropping by, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for your support. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Also, if you do like the video, like and share also. When you subscribe, click the notification bell as well so that you will receive updates of my video uploads. Take care of yourself, stay safe. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.